My family banned me from my sister's graduation. Don't even bother showing up, that's what my mother said. Her voice cut through the grainy Zoom connection like cold glass. There was no preamble, no hesitation, just that. As if I were an uninvited guest at someone else's life. It was supposed to be a simple Sunday morning call. I had logged on from my kitchen, coffee in hand, still in my robe. The sunlight filtered through the blinds behind me, golden and warm. But my chest tightened the second I heard her tone. "It's not about you," she added, as if that explained everything. Chloe deserves a day without distractions. Distractions? That was me. I stared at the screen, where our family's faces sat in tiny squares. My mother, sharp and upright in her chair. My father, barely visible in his Zoom window, scrolling through his phone on mute. My cousin Paige, with her camera off. And then Chloe, my younger sister, in the center frame. Perfectly styled in soft curls and a soft smirk. She didn't say anything, she didn't have to. Her silence was louder than any words. I felt the heat rising in my face as I placed the mug down on the counter. I tried to speak, but my throat caught. I managed only a slow, steady, "After everything I've done, this is how I find out." My mother scoffed, "We're not doing this, Rachel. Chloe's graduating, it's a celebration, not whatever this is." "Whatever this is," I said. "This is the thing where I paid for Chloe's tuition for 4 years. This is the thing where I sent her money for textbooks, housing. Even a therapist when she didn't want to go through campus services. This is the thing where you all smiled while I paid, and now I'm an embarrassment." No one interrupted me, no one objected, not even my father. My Aunt Anne blinked once, then looked down. Chloe was still smiling. It was the kind of smile I knew too well. The kind that says, "I won." That's when I knew it wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a heat of the moment outburst, it was decided, agreed upon, coordinated even. I could have asked why, I could have begged for some explanation, some mercy. But instead, my hand moved to the keyboard, calm, mechanical. I opened the banking app I hadn't touched since setting up Chloe's automatic tuition plan 3 years ago. The dashboard loaded slowly, my fingers didn't shake. Click, cancel, confirm, done. "Oh," I said, my voice even, "if that's how you feel, then you'll never see my money again." My mother narrowed her eyes, like I'd just spoken in a foreign language. "I mean it," I added, "credit cards, tuition, grocery money, all of it. You're adults, time to act like it." And without waiting for a reply, I clicked, "Leave meeting." The screen went black. My phone buzzed 5 seconds later, a text from my dad. "Don't do anything stupid, she's your sister." Then Chloe. "Thanks for making everything about you again." I turned the phone over on the counter. The coffee in my mug had gone cold. I poured it down the drain. And stood there, gripping the edge of the sink, breathing. My hand didn't shake, not anymore. I wasn't family, I was funding. I wish I could say that Zoom call was the moment things broke. But the truth is, it wasn't a break, it was a conclusion. The unraveling had started years earlier, quietly, steadily. The way a leak behind the wall seeps in until the drywall crumbles. You don't see it happening. You just wake up one day and realize everything you built has rot at the core. It began with a phone call. I was 24, barely a year into my first real job. Entry level at a fintech startup, thrilled to have health insurance and a kitchen with a working dishwasher. "Hi, sweetie," Mom said, her voice syrupy. She only used that tone when she needed something. "We're so proud of you, really." Oh, and Chloe's tuition bill came in. "Just until we figure things out, can you help cover it?" I said yes. Of course I said yes. That, just until, became every semester, then housing, then books. Then groceries, then mental health weekends in Miami. Chloe never asked directly, she didn't have to. The requests came through mom or dad, tucked in phrases like, "You make more than us." Or, "She's the one with real potential. Rachel, you should be proud." Proud. I repeated that word a lot, like it might eventually taste right. They called me successful, independent, the sister who had it all together. And so naturally, I was the one who didn't need anything. What they meant was I wasn't their concern, I was their solution. For every emergency, I was the fix. When Chloe wanted to move off campus because the dorms were depressing, I covered first and last month's rent. When her laptop broke, I replaced it. When her boyfriend crashed her car, I helped with the deductible. And through it all, I told myself it was love. That maybe if I gave enough, they'd finally see me, not just as a wallet, but as family. But they didn't. There were signs I ignored, little bruises I called jokes. Like the Christmas when I gave Chloe a MacBook Air, and she wrinkled her nose. I asked for the Pro, this one's kind of basic. Dad laughed, maybe next year. Mom said nothing. Or the time she left her phone unlocked on the table, and I caught a glimpse of a text to Aunt Janet. "Rachel's such a control freak, thinks she's Jeff Bezos just because she writes the checks. But hey, if she's dumb enough to keep paying, why complain?" I read it 3 times, I told myself it didn't mean what it meant. I was good at rewriting their scripts. But the line I couldn't rewrite came later. It was a rainy Thursday night, close to midnight. I had just climbed into bed when my phone rang. "Miss Morgan," the man on the line said, "we're calling to verify some unusual activity on a card ending in 728. I blinked. I don't use that card anymore. 4 transactions in the last 48 hours, totaling $3,700. Cartier, Balenciaga, Foot Locker. That card had been for groceries, years ago, one I gave to my mother temporarily. I hung up, my heart didn't race, it sank. That night, I didn't call them, I didn't cry. I sat at my desk, turned on the soft light, and opened my laptop. I went through every account, every forgotten card, every autopay. 3 of them were active, all tied to my name, my social security number, my credit, and their spending. I started making a spreadsheet, not for revenge, for clarity, for proof. Because somewhere deep down, I already knew I had never been a daughter. I had only been the line of credit they could still dial into. I didn't call them, I cleaned the mess. I spent the next 2 days in silence, not the kind you sit in, but the kind you build, like a barrier. It was the first time I treated what had happened not as a betrayal to be mourned, but as a crisis to be resolved. I printed statements, opened spreadsheets, changed passwords I hadn't touched in years. Called the banks, one by one. "Can you confirm who authorized this card?" Not me, that's my name, but not my purchases. They were polite, efficient, some asked if I wanted to press charges. I said, no, not yet. I wasn't ready to burn the bridge, but I was ready to shut it down. One card, then another, then a third, all closed. I turned off the grocery stipend I'd set up through my budgeting app. I canceled the tuition autopay. I submitted paperwork to remove Chloe's access to the Amazon account she'd been using under my login. Every click felt like peeling tape from my skin, it hurt less than I expected. There was a moment, maybe halfway through, when I paused. The apartment was still, my hands hovered over the keyboard. I looked up at the bookshelf by the window, where a single potted cactus sat. Small, spiky, resilient, I had bought it at a gas station 3 months earlier, half as a joke. Now it stared back like a mirror. I stood up, walked over, and placed a sticky note on the pot. In block letters, I wrote, "Boundaries." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I boiled water for tea. I folded the laundry, and somewhere in the middle of all that, I let go of the version of me who kept waiting to be thanked. It wasn't sadness I felt, not anger either. It was something quieter, like finally standing up in a room where you'd been kneeling for years. The texts kept coming, from Mom. Can we just talk? From Chloe. Did the payment not go through? Just fix it, Rachel. From Dad, vaguely. Let's not do anything we can't undo. I read them all, I didn't reply. Instead, I dug out the file I'd once made for Chloe's FOFSA submissions. It still had my W-2s, my co-signer forms, even copies of her student ID. I moved everything into a new folder called Closed. I zipped it, archived it. I wasn't trying to punish them, that was the part people didn't understand. I didn't want them to suffer, I just wanted them to finally live without me. Without my name, my number, my safety net. I wanted them to know what it was like to stand on a floor they built themselves. That night, I ordered in, sat on the couch, watched an old black and white movie with the volume low. Outside, the city shimmered like a place I hadn't noticed in years. I curled under a blanket and told myself, just once, out loud, you don't owe them your peace. It felt strange to say it, but it didn't feel wrong. They called a family Zoom. I joined with receipts. 3 weeks passed, no phone calls, no apologies, just silence, sharp and deliberate. Then a message, short, clipped, from my mother. Family Zoom tomorrow, 7 p.m., urgent. No context, no warmth, just the kind of invitation that wasn't a question. I stared at the text for a long minute, I almost deleted it, almost blocked her number. But some quiet part of me, the part that used to hope, still wanted to see their faces when I didn't flinch. So I said nothing. I showed up, 7 p.m. sharp. The screen flickered to life, the same boxes, the same faces, like nothing had changed. Chloe appeared first, hair curled, lashes done, a hoodie draped over her shoulders like a casual afterthought. She sipped from a Starbucks cup, camera angled just right to show her engagement ring. Mom joined a moment later, in her silk robe, sitting straight like a newscaster. Dad's square was dim, the ceiling fan turning slowly above his head. He wasn't looking at the camera, he never did. Let's begin, Mom said, no greeting. Chloe's graduation is in 2 weeks, she's walking the stage. You not being there would be a disgrace. I didn't blink, you told me not to come. I was upset, she replied. No, Chloe interrupted, I said it, and I meant it, I don't want you there. She leaned back, arms crossed, mouth pursed in that particular way she reserved for retail workers and relatives she found embarrassing. But, she added, I still need the final payment for my capstone course. They won't let me walk unless it clears. There it was, the real reason for the call. Not regret, not repair, just one last ask. I leaned forward slightly, resting my elbows on the desk. So let me get this straight, I said. You don't want me at graduation, but you do want my money. Chloe rolled her eyes, it's not about you, it's about me finishing college. The college I paid for, I said, voice flat. Every semester, every book, every ride, every apartment with the hardwood floors and Instagram lighting. Every oat milk latte you posted with #StudyGrind. That's enough, Mom snapped. I looked at her, calm still. You told me I was a distraction, an embarrassment. You told me I didn't belong. She looked away. Dad finally unmuted. Let's not blow this out of proportion. I gave a short laugh, it wasn't kind. Oh, this is proportionate, I said. In fact, I'm about to make it very clear. I reached for my mouse, one click, share screen. A folder opened on my desktop, its title simple, Receipts. Inside were PDFs, credit card statements, screenshots of Uber charges, Sephora receipts linked to Chloe's account. And one file marked, audio recording MP3. Mom paled, Chloe froze. I didn't press play, not yet, I just said, I didn't come here to argue. I came to remind you exactly what you took. This isn't drama, this is theft. The folder sat open on the screen, glowing faintly against the dim light in my apartment. I let the silence stretch, just long enough for discomfort to settle in. Mom spoke first, her voice clipped, brittle. You recorded us? I didn't answer right away, I wanted them to sit in that question. You took what wasn't yours, I said instead, and you laughed while doing it. Chloe broke in with a scoff. This is so petty, Rachel, seriously. You're making some slideshow like you're in court. I clicked into one of the PDFs, highlighted purchases appeared. $420 at Aritzia, $180 on a sushi dinner. A rideshare charge at 2 a.m. from a club I'd never been to. All from the card I gave Mom 5 years ago for groceries, all tied to Chloe's email, her Apple ID. You always act like you're better than us, Chloe snapped. Just because you work some stupid job and live in that depressing little apartment. You're right, I said, voice calm. I do think I'm better than people who steal from their own family. And then try to play victim. Her mouth snapped shut. Dad sighed. Okay, we've made some mistakes, but come on, this is family. No, I said, this is fraud. Then I clicked play. The recording crackled at first, speakerphone, the quality wasn't great. But the voices were unmistakable. Chloe. She's not going to say no, she never does. Mom. She won't even notice, just keep it under $3,000 or the bank calls. Then laughter, the kind that bubbles up when you think no one's listening. Then Mom again. We might as well milk her until she finds a husband and stops caring. The recording ended, no one moved. Mom looked as if she'd been slapped, Chloe stared at the floor. Dad rubbed his temples, like the weight of the moment was too heavy for him to bear. You kept all this, Mom whispered. I nodded. I kept it, I said, because I knew, I just didn't want to believe it. Chloe finally found her voice. You'll regret this, she hissed, you'll ruin everything. My graduation, my job search. I cut her off. You ruined it, I said. You took my name, my credit, my trust, and treated it like a convenience store. And when I asked for a thank you, you called me dramatic. Mom's voice cracked. You're blowing up the whole family. I looked at her through the camera. No, you did that when you decided my money mattered more than I did. She tried again, softer now. You're still our daughter, we can fix this. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. I'm not here to be fixed, I'm here to be done. I stopped the screen share, sat back in my chair. Here's what's going to happen, I said, the way I'd say it in a budget meeting. I'm not paying the balance, I'm not showing up to the graduation. I've closed every account in my name. Tuition, rent, Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime, gone. I lifted my phone to the camera, and yes, I added, the cards were reported as stolen. The only reason I haven't pressed charges is because I still have enough dignity not to destroy Chloe's career before it starts. That part was true, though less noble than it sounded. I just wanted to leave without needing to burn anything else. Chloe opened her mouth to speak but stopped, her face twisted, anger, guilt, disbelief. She couldn't decide which mask to wear. Mom blinked hard. You're really doing this? I already did, I said. Then I clicked, leave meeting, and this time, I didn't wait for the screen to go dark. I didn't ruin her graduation, I ended my role in the lie. The silence after the Zoom call wasn't immediate. It arrived slowly, like fog creeping through a field you thought you knew. 3 days passed without a word, no texts, no missed calls. Not even one of Dad's half-hearted, just checking in, messages. For the first time in years, my phone was quiet. I didn't know if that should have felt peaceful or terrifying. But by the fourth day, the storm arrived, precisely as I expected it would. My mother's email came first, the subject line, "You're being cruel." She wrote in paragraphs that read like sermons. Accusing me of betrayal, of humiliating the family, of destroying Chloe's future over a petty grudge. My favorite line: "You used to be a good daughter before the world poisoned you with independence." I didn't respond. After that came the cousins, the aunts, a few uncles I barely remembered from holidays past. All of them sent messages that followed the same script. "She's your sister, it's just money, we're disappointed in how you handled this." None of them had messaged me when I paid for Chloe's rent. None said thank you when I kept the mortgage current or covered my parents' grocery deliveries during lockdown. But now, suddenly, they all had opinions. I packed my apartment quietly and moved into a new place, still in the same city, just a few blocks over. It had hardwood floors, clean white walls, and a long window ledge where the sun reached in each morning. I bought a new plant, a tall, leafy green one that stretched toward the light without asking for permission. I named it, Enough. The only message I answered was a text from an unknown number, though I recognized the tone before I even saw the name. "I missed the deadline. I can't walk now, you ruined everything." It was Chloe, no greeting, no acknowledgement, just blame, as always. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering, then replied, "I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped funding your fantasy." Then I blocked the number. A week later, my alma mater called. Someone had attempted to impersonate me to re-enable the tuition plan. They'd forged my signature with a scanned form Chloe must have pulled from an old file. It was flagged. They wanted to verify my identity. I did, of course. I thanked the woman on the phone. Then sat in my car and laughed, harder than I had in months. Not because it was funny, but because it was ridiculous, desperate, predictable, and finally done. 2 months later, I saw pictures on social media. Chloe sitting in the audience at her own graduation ceremony, in full makeup, pretending not to care. The caption beneath the photo, from my aunt, read, "Proud of our Chloe, she's a graduate in our eyes." Sure, even if the system failed her. Or maybe it just finally stopped letting her cheat. The last time anyone from my family reached out was the afternoon my father showed up at my new building. He looked thinner, his voice softer. "I just want to talk," he said. So I let him in. He stood by the window, hands in his pockets, searching the room like he was trying to spot what had changed in me. He didn't speak for a moment, then finally, he said, "It's quiet now. Chloe's not doing great. Your mother pretends everything's fine, but it's not." He hesitated. "Can you come back, just for a meal, just to talk?" I shook my head. "I talked," I said, "for years, you just didn't listen." And now, they would have to listen to silence.